Trapped by the belief that I'm not good enough, bound by the limitations and the lies that consumed my world, this was me. It wasn't until I took the biggest leap in my life to know and trust the power within. And it was at that moment I made a choice. My past will not define me anymore. Hello, I am Teri, and I know I am not alone in this. Over the years, I have found that the number one mistake that we make is that we get in the way of our own success story. Yes, I said it. On this show, together we'll tackle limiting beliefs, self sabotage, getting stuck, fear, doubt, overwhelm, and the imposter syndrome. Join us on this journey designed to transport you beyond your limitations to a world where anything is possible. This is Talking with Teri. Hi, and welcome back to Talking with Teri, where we have powerful conversations to transform your life and your business. And I'm delighted to have our guest today, Kat Dunn. She is known as Kat the Coursebuilder Dunn. She has the goal of helping 1 million people teach 1 million, which I just absolutely love. She's launched over almost 17,000 courses. Yes, you heard me right. 17,000 courses in 5 countries and on 3 continents. This is a powerhouse lady that we're talking to today. So welcome, Kat, to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Teri. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah. Okay. So I just know this about you. You're quite the firecracker. You definitely had, so we met not too long ago, actually a few months ago. And I'm just like, ooh, this lady is juicy. I want to be friends with her. Okay. So folks that do not know you yet, bring us up to speed. Tell us a little bit about you, how you got into the course building work, and, just share your journey to where you're at today.
Yeah, so it's a little bit of an interesting journey. It's taken some winding paths along the way, like most people. I started my career as a journalist. Don't hold that against me. I was a journalist for many years. Behind the scenes, I was a writer and editor, and I really loved that work, but it didn't seem like enough. I loved meeting interesting people, and I loved asking the right questions to get the answers that I needed in order to translate that information into content that the average everyday person could understand. Well, fast forward, and I would use that same skill set in the work that I'm doing today. So it took me, some years, but I was working in corporate as a corporate trainer, and I would travel. I was out on Sunday, back on Friday, and I traveled so much that I didn't feel like I could have a personal life. I wasn't married, I didn't have kids, and I knew that if I ever wanted those things, I would have to get off the road. And I wasn't really quite sure how to do that. And then one day I went downstairs in our building at the time on the 5th floor where the instructional designers were working. And, I noticed that they weren't always there. Sometimes they worked from home, sometimes they were there, sometimes they weren't. And I was like, hey, I want to do that. If I can work from home,
I love it.
if I can work from home, then I can get off the road and let me try to figure out what these people do. And one of the gentlemen there, his name was Hal. I'll never forget Hal. He introduced me to the world of instructional design. And he was like, all these courses that you're teaching, well, we create those courses. And so he took me under his wing, taught me everything he knew. I loved it so much that I went back to school, got a second master's degree. I already had an MBA. I went back and got another master's degree in instructional design and teaching with technology. And that is where it started. And I've been here ever since. And I've been an instructional designer for almost 20 years now.
Wow, that's fantastic. I love the fact that you're like building a career on like time freedom, right? Like, how do I create more freedom in my life? So good for you. So I always love asking the question, What has been in this journey for you?
Yeah.
What has been the biggest challenge, the barrier, the block that you've had to overcome to get to where you're at now? Because I think so often
Yeah.
as entrepreneurs, we can look at other people and say, gosh, they got that cat, she has got it good, right? But that's really not the story. Like our personal journey is
Yeah.
sometimes a hot mess. So what
Yeah.
has been that biggest challenge for you in your path?
Yeah, I would definitely say my own personal mindset has been the challenge. And that challenge is going from a mindset of can I do this to I have to do this to nothing's going to stop me from doing this, right?
Yeah.
And getting my mindset away from a plan B, because we're conditioned to have a plan B, right? If this doesn't work, have a plan B. If that doesn't work, have a plan B. And so what I realized for me is that in order for me to really make a go of this, I
Mhm.
had to get rid of the plan B mentality. I had to get
I
rid of
love that. And I think this is timing is impeccable. Literally 2 weeks ago, on one of my Facebook lives, I was talking about why it's a horrible idea to have a plan B.
it.
And so, what I talked about was just that. We
Wow.
so often will have a plan A and a plan B. And I just came across a situation with someone where and on the Facebook Live, I talked about like that he had his one little sentence on plan A, but he had then detailed, I bet there was at least 7 different things around plan B. Where did we put our time and energy? We put the time and energy on plan B. And I think that when we have a plan B, and I just absolutely love that you're saying this, because I think when we have a plan B, we never allow plan A to really be fully successful because we always have this other like game plan, right? This backup plan. But I think it's powerful to like live your life in plan A. Like, right? Like,
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It releases you
mhm.
from the fear-based mentality that comes along with the plan B thinking, right?
Yes.
So having a plan B is rooted in a fear-based or lack mindset that if I don't have this, I will have this, right?
Yes.
And so by eliminating that completely, it really just freed me up to give my whole entirety of my thought, my resources, my energy to what it is that I really wanted in my life. And so that was the biggest hurdle. Not really even being able to really articulate that with myself. Like I didn't
Yeah.
say it to myself. I just realized it when I realized a few things will give you clues. So let's talk a little bit about what those clues were for me. So I was working in corporate. I'm a corporate girl. I grew up in corporate, right? And so a lot of corporate people will recognize the laptop and the VPN and all of the connections you got to have if you're working in corporate so you can work everywhere and all of that, right? Well, I was lugging around this big Dell computer everywhere. I hated it. I hated having to log in. And then I had my business that I was trying to build, right, on the other side while I was trying to focus on the corporate stuff. And it just wasn't working for me. I was exhausted. I was tired. I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to do the corporate thing. I really wanted to focus on my plan A, and I couldn't because I had to get over here and get the paycheck from plan B, right? But it wasn't
Yeah.
serving me.
Mm.
It wasn't doing it. It just was the only thing it was doing was paying bills, and it paid well, but it wasn't enough for me. So I gave it up. 2015 was my last corporate gig, and I turned in well, at that time I had to give them a month notice. So I turned in my 30-day notice. I turned in my 30-day notice, and that was the most freeing thing I could have ever done. So that's a clue. If your plan B is dragging on you. It's not serving your soul. Every time you think about it, it just, gives you anxiety or pain in some way. It's time to get rid of it.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's no longer in alignment with you. It's no longer serving you. And again, it could have served you to a degree, but then at some point it becomes more of a hurdle or a challenge or a block for you to keep it, right? And so
Yeah.
I absolutely love what you're speaking about, because I am telling you, I think there's a lot of people in your boat. And I think, again, like I think people not only having a plan B, but sometimes they have a plan C, D, and E, F, right? Like they're like all these other things. But I think when we get really clear and focus, and when we tap back into what we truly, truly know in our heart of hearts, and that takes some time to get silent, but when we tap back into that, what is our purpose? What is our passion? What are we doing here? Right.
Yeah.
And we got that clarity, like and we put all that attention on plan A. Like we have the resources, the time, the energy, that we almost become like this vortex of energy that's like, you know what, I'm on it, right? So
Right.
clue number one is, when you're feeling drained, exhausted, out of alignment, all of that good stuff. Were there some other clues for you that's like, okay, this is not working out for me?
Yeah. So personally, there were some clues, right? So at that time, I was a new mom, relatively new, and I didn't like not being around my kid as much. My husband and I made a personal decision that he would stop his career. He had his own career and own life, but he stopped that. He quit his job to take care of my daughter full time at home because we didn't want her in daycare at the time. And I just personally felt, even though he was like our family hero for doing that, I didn't feel right about it. Like I didn't like not being present. And then when I was present, I was exhausted. So I missed a lot of her that first year of her life. And because I was working, because I was like, is this a good reason? Like, is that a really good reason to miss some of these? Like, I didn't feel like it met the, it didn't live up to what I had to do.
Yeah.
And I just, for me, it just wasn't worth it. And I just was like, I got to do something else. Like, I can't be, I would come home and he'd be like, oh, she did this today and she gurgled and she did this. And I would be like, all
Yeah.
right, and here, all I could contribute was breast milk, because I was pumping at the time, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I just felt very, utilitarian. So that was another, clue for me, that personally I was exhausted. I wasn't a very present wife, because I was so tired all the time. And so when you're at home and you still don't feel really fully present, even with the people that you love the most, I think that's another clue. I think if if you really look, sometimes it manifests itself in other ways where we're snippy at our partner, or we, want time alone, we want our alone time and all this kind of stuff, when we really could be spending that time with our families. It's really not that. It's really that maybe we're not doing what we're supposed to do to fulfill ourselves. And we have to look at ourselves and really be honest that it's not the fact that he didn't take out the trash. It's the fact that I'm not happy with what I'm doing. I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And we've got to stop, especially as women, we have to stop blaming our spouses for what we're not doing. We got to
That's
stop
great.
looking at our spouses to give us validation for what we're supposed to be doing. They'll take you seriously when you take yourself seriously. Stop waiting for somebody else to take you seriously before you do it. And so,
That's a powerful message right there, because I think so many times, especially in the entrepreneurial world, okay, most of the entrepreneur women that I have met, we are like powerhouse, like take over the world. We got this, usually triple A's,
Yeah.
kind of personalities, we get stuff done. But there's a place and space where we got to take it back and like look at what are we creating, and
Yeah.
also are we pointing the fingers at our spouse, our family members, our kids, our grown kids, our whoever's in our kind of close family, because I think you're right, taking responsibility and what am I contributing to this situation, or this to this conflict, or difficulty that we're facing.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's
Sometimes
power
it's
in
just
that.
that we're not all the way fulfilled in our own lives.
Mm-hmm.
And that's nobody's responsibility other than ourselves. It's not your spouse's responsibility to make you feel accomplished in your life.
Yeah.
We have to do that.
Wow. That is a powerful message. So let me ask you this. I mean, on your journey, and you continue, what is something that you are continuing to work on yourself with when in regards to mindset? Because that's my jam. That's what I talk about. That's my lane. But
Yes.
when we're talking about, like, I feel like this is I mean, obviously personal development is a lifelong process. What is
Yeah.
something that you're continuing to work on or challenge yourself on when it comes to
Yeah.
mindset?
Yeah, so I would say so about a year and a half ago, I started a serious weight loss journey. I was about 100 pounds overweight, and I'm having some medical issues because of my weight that I just couldn't seem to get off. I was able to get off about 20 pounds myself and was still considered morbidly obese. And so I had weight loss surgery about a year and a half ago. And I'm down about 93 pounds or so right now, and have met those weight loss goals. But and I just recently had I had a mommy makeover recently, within the last few weeks. And so uh, I've been through a lot physically, and that physical change, I mean, some people, we were just talking about this, but some people, like, because of COVID and not being able to see each other for a while, didn't even recognize me, like walked right past me and didn't recognize me because I look so different now.
Well, I can only imagine. I mean, weight has such a different, I mean, it changes the way we look, right? I mean,
Yes,
it's unbelievable.
it is. It really is. And how this has sort of manifested in my business is really interesting, because as I have physically gotten smaller, the business has gotten bigger. I
Yeah.
don't think that they're directly connected, but I think they're spiritually connected. I feel,
1000%. Yeah,
yeah,
energetically,
yeah,
it's like, when we
yeah,
think about what we're carrying on weight, and I always used to tell people, and when I was in the therapy world, I was like, weight is never about weight, and weight is never about food.
yeah,
Weight is about something really different. And so, but when we like to start to quote unpack and release and let go, it's
yeah,
amazing what that will do energetically for you, right?
yeah.
Like I'm guessing you probably have more energy.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
guessing that you're probably more active, right? I'm guessing that you just, you're showing up with a different presence, a different energy, right? And so that has a direct impact on what you're doing in your business. So it's
Absolutely.
profound. It's profound when we start to, let go of what's not serving us. And then we allow ourselves to be open to receiving. It's so juicy. And so I love,
It
and I am
is.
certain energetically there is some correlation there,
Oh yeah,
without a
for
doubt.
sure, for sure. And the unpacking is not just a physical thing, just like you just said. I mean, I just got rid of, well, not just, but I got rid of about 14, 15 bags, huge like lawn bags of clothes. Um, Gave them all away. Most of them still had tags on it. My shoe size has changed. I can't fit most of my shoes. Even my wedding ring, I've got to wear this thing because my wedding ring won't fit anymore. I've got to get it
Yes.
resized
Yeah.
and stuff. But a lot has changed. But I would just say that if anybody is thinking about, as you grow your business, you can't forget about you. You can't
Mhm.
forget about yourself. You can't forget about your family and the the effects that things are having, right? So we tend to stay up late, work late, we're on our computers, we're snacking on chips, we've got this going on, we're not exercising like we should because we've got this meeting or the other, right? We're trying to do all these things in our business. But what you have to realize is that if you don't have you, then you have nothing.
Yeah.
If you don't have you, you have nothing, and the world has nothing. So you gotta take care of you and build into your life, your team. I have a team of, well, now we've got about, I think we have 19 or 20 people now um, on staff, and it's a lot of responsibility. But one of the things that I just won't compromise on is the time I have to take care of myself. Because if without me, without the head, it all falls apart.
Yeah. Agreed. So on that note, what is one of your strategies or tools or areas in which you take care of yourself? Like, how do you incorporate that into, a daily routine so that
Yeah.
you're being consistent?
Yeah. So one of the things I do a few things. One is I have a housekeeping service. A lot of people feel like, oh, that's for rich people, no, it's for busy people. So, you know, and so having you got to get out of that mindset of thinking, oh, that's only for those people, not for me. Yes, it is for you. Well, I can do it. Well, just because you can do it doesn't mean you should do it. Right.
Agreed. Yeah.
So I've taken that off my plate. So I have a housekeeping service. So that helps me take care of me because I can do other things.
Yeah.
I also have a private car service. So when I have to get around town and things that I have meetings and things I have to do, I don't drive myself. I can, but I don't. Why? Because I don't want to be stressed out going through traffic and driving and all of that. I can sit back and let somebody else do it, come pick me up. And they've got water in the car. I can plug in my laptop. I can do what I want to do. And that helps me take care of me.
Yes.
Another thing I do, I also have a private car service for my daughter. So they pick her up from school. And I still take her to school because I just want to take her. I want to take her to school. I think I just want to be there first thing in the morning. But in the afternoons, I may not be able to be there. So the car service brings her home. Now, some people may be thinking, well, Kat, you're running $1 million business. You can do that, all of that. But here's the deal. Even when I wasn't there, I did these things. We just made it a priority. You can
Yeah.
pay for what you want to pay for. So instead of going out to eat, you pay for these other things that are going to help you to take care of yourself on a daily basis. So those are some of the things that I do, and just changing your mindset around what you can afford, makes
Agreed.
all the
Again,
difference.
when we're back in that plan A and we're
Mhm.
really committed to that plan A, we're going to find the resources to help us be successful. And that, if that means
Absolutely.
not going out to eat 4 times a week and, eating out once a week, like there's ways to make it happen. I'm truly in alignment with what you're saying as far as like, if we are committed to that, we will find a way to figure it out. And I do believe things are
Absolutely.
figure outable. And I love how you're utilizing other tools and resources to our advantage. I mean,
Yeah.
brilliant, brilliant.
Yeah, it doesn't, it's not even as much as you might think it is. I mean, people are like, oh, well, rich people do. And I'm like, no, for $150 every 2 weeks, I can have somebody come in and do deep cleaning and stuff like that around the house. And I don't have time to do baseboards and all that kind of stuff. I don't have
No
time to
way.
do all that stuff.
No.
And
And that's the
for
time that you get to have back with your family, so we get
Absolutely.
to
We
make
don't
we
even
get to
have to
make
be
choice.
here.
Yeah.
We don't even have to be here.
Yeah.
We can remotely lock the door or whatever when they're done. When you're coming back, like we just came back from, E-Women conference, the house was completely clean. My sheets changed, bed is ready, ready. The bathroom is completely clean and sanitized. I never have to touch a toilet. So my thing is, for me, that it is worth it for me.
Yeah.
I'll
So
spend
I'm going to invite,
$300 on that as opposed to a pair of shoes or something like
yes. You know what? I agree with you. And I'm going to invite the listeners, if there is something that you have in mind that you're like, you know what, I'd love to create this. Put it down on paper, like do some research around it. What would it really cost you? Because I think sometimes we have a limited mindset and we don't even know, like oftentimes we think it's out of our league when it really could be,
that.
really could, once we look at the numbers and we look at, could this be really real? Is it really realistic for ourselves? It can be such a game changer, So
Absolutely. And one of the classes that I had during my MBA was economics, and I hated it. I really hated it, Teri. But there was one lesson that got my total attention, and I was like, now this is brilliant. And that was the idea of the time value of money.
yes.
A basic economic principle, but I totally got into that. And now as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, as a busy wife and mom, the time value of money, that concept is what has helped me to build my business, because we're a done for you service. So we help people to realize their time value. And I feed into the economy, into other people's economy by paying for them to give me back my time value. And there's a price on that. And so, it
But
all
it is,
comes full circle.
yeah. And it is powerful. I just had this conversation yesterday because someone was like, well, I just don't know. She's building this, she's almost at the 7-figure business, area. And she's like, I just don't know. And I was like, okay, I want you to, for a week, look at all the things that you're doing that are really admin that you should not be doing. Right. And I don't like to shit on people, but I'm just saying, like, she doesn't, that's not in her zone of brilliance. Right. And so I'm like, just for a week, I'm just curious how many hours. Now, what's your hourly, if you were to divide out, what you bring home in an hourly wage, does it make sense for you to continue doing this? Or is there someone that you can hire to do that? And so, play with that exercise, because it's powerful when we start to look at that. Wow, what am I doing with my time? Is it really putting money back into the company, or can I be doing this in a better, more efficient way? Which is a powerful way to look and grow your business 1000%. So
Absolutely.
Well, Kat, this has been absolutely delightful. Where can listeners find more about you, or even check out your course building work? Because I love the fact that it's done for you. That means, folks, that her team does all the work. Like, how much better can it get? Like, it gets a cherry on top. So, Kat, where can people find you?
Sure. They can head right over to our website, katthecoursebuilder.com, just like it sounds. That's Kat with a K, K-A-T, T-H-E, coursebuilder.com. And they can also feel free to join us over on Facebook in the Make Your Brilliance Your Business community. We'd love to have you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kat. I am so grateful that you joined me for this episode. If you've enjoyed this, then there's just one thing that I would like you to do. Click to subscribe and leave me a rating and review. As my way to thank you, let's connect for a free consultation. Just reach out to me at talkingwithteri, that's Teri.com, to book your time.